by the end of 2004, you have this main event push. You're working with Triple H, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Randy Orton. You were at one point the GM of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you, was the company pushing you, for bigger things? What was going on around that time?
I believe they were. What happened to that push, I will never know. I'll never get an answer to, or at least an honest answer. I don't know if maybe it was just still too early in my career to get a push like that. I believe if they would have gave me the opportunity to continue, I could have. I think I'll never not think I couldn't have been a main eventer. They never let me focus on the one thing that I had that I was great at, which was my ability to talk. They would give me a little bit of speaking things here and there, but they never handed me the mic and said go. And I think if they would have, it could have gotten really good. Because obviously my promo ability, would have been my bread and butter.
Yeah.
And forever I will, and it took a while to get over the bitterness of not having that opportunity. But whenever I feel like that, I just sit and think, okay, you had an opportunity to do something that not many people get to do, and you did it for a while. So I'm at the point now. I'm grateful for what I did have. I'm thankful for the time I did spend. And yeah, I got to live out a dream in front of the entire world. And even now I'm continuing to live it out.
I mean, I also want to mention, when you were the GM of Raw, I don't know if you were competing that night because, oh no, you were competing that night. You were against Triple H for the World Heavyweight title.
I was.
You got to tell me, what was that day like? Especially, you're running the show, and now you're going to go against the top guy. What was it like that entire day for you?
That day was equally as stressful as the Rumble day. And it's because if you ever watch a Raw, they're broken down into segments. And basically when they come out of commercial break and everything until they go to another commercial break, you might have 1 or 2 segments in that time. Like a backstage, if you have something backstage, that's a segment in itself. And then they might go to a match. Well, that's another segment. And I believe I was in like 11 of the 16 segments that night. I was in pretty much the whole damn show. So then at the very end of the night, after my match with Hunter, Vince is the first person to meet me when I went behind the curtain, and he just shook his head and he stuck his arm out and he was like, hell of a job. You did it. And, I felt relief. Obviously I was happy it was over, but then at that point I knew I was like, okay, I can do this. I was given a tough task and I pulled it off. I did it. And, it didn't come like I didn't mess up anything. So I was just happy as hell it was over and just ecstatic knowing that I was in the right place. It's like, okay, you can do this.
Yeah. And I mean, after, you were the GM, after, you went against Triple H, you turned heel. And what was that like, not only being a heel, but also working with Simon Dean? Because you've never been a heel before this, right?
Well, not up until then I hadn't. Yeah. That's when I think the true inner character of what I had to give came out. I'm a way better heel than I am a babyface. And I really started having fun. Simon took the time to not only explain what we were doing, but why we were doing it. And, I got to work in tag matches and I got to learn the ins and outs of what you do and why you might put a hot tag in a certain spot. And, because Nova, he had forgotten more wrestling than I could ever hope to learn. So and then we had a cool gimmick. Like, it was funny. We were going out and, we went out and told Stacy Keibler she was fat, for goodness sakes. Like, how ridiculous is that? And I got to have fun. And once I left that, I wanted to work heel. And still to this day, like, I don't like working babyface. If I'm at a show, I would much prefer working heel just because I can have more fun.
I mean, you were a heel with Simon Dean for, I would say, 7-8 months. And then
probably,
yeah, July of 2005 comes around and you were let go by WWE. My question is, what is life after WWE like for Maven?
It was tough, like immediately after, because wrestling had become my identity, and it's tough when you feel like you lose that identity. And it took me a while to realize, because everywhere I went, if anyone was meeting me, if anyone was introducing me to a friend, I was always Maven the wrestler, and that's just and I got used to it, and I liked it.
Yeah.
So, knowing that was stripped away from me, it was a tough transition, but I was able, and I was fortunate to land, because I think a few months after, I was let go by the WWE, I was back in LA filming for the Surreal Life. And then that led to 2 seasons hosting on BET, which led to me being a full-time host on the Home Shopping Network. So I think I was able to get by with that disappointment by filling my time and my purpose with new endeavors.